focus on the elections, the process, the system. How do we ensure we have a rancorous, less or free elections moving forward? You know, we always say these things: free, fair, credible elections.
Safe.
Oh, okay, I didn't say safe. Transparent. All those nice adjectives.
Acceptable.
But do we actually work towards them? Because we had several convocations, several meetings before each election, but does it appear as though we really do something about it?
You know, he was saying something about deterrence. In other words, if people do things that are wrong, they should be able to. If somebody comes into power through a rigged process, he should be ashamed of it. But it's the people that will make him ashamed of it. If somebody becomes a senator, I give you an instance with Rochas Okorocha that he has mentioned here. That is clear what he's saying, that they held captive, and you, of course, you have your opinion.
I didn't say it's clear.
I
can't say it's clear yet.
Okay, you have your, and there are people like this all over. People will pander to them. If you ostracize them as a people, maybe that was a hard word, but if you don't pander to them, one of the ways to get somebody's attention, you do it sometimes with your immediate environment, is to ignore them a little bit. Nigerians pander to people. That's why I said Nigeria, we don't want to be set free. We pander to the people that hold us captive.
Let's look. So what then do we do? Because all of those conferences that we had previously, in terms of what we need to do, including the one in 2005, former President Obasanjo did, the one former President Jonathan tried to do, all of those scenarios. How do we move forward? If tomorrow we hold another one, how do we implement all of those? Because there are those who suggested the National Assembly don't even know where to start with those ones. How do you begin to ensure that, look, with these recommendations, if we implement them, how do you even implement them in the first place?
Let me put it this way. Sometimes we confuse the daily administration of Nigeria with the soul of Nigeria, which is the charter. How we will engage as a people. Sometimes it can be seen inside the Constitution, but it doesn't. The Constitution is how we want to engage. We must sit as a people where you identify, I think in America it's called this charter, offering you what we want to be seen, what we want to reverence. So if you get those documentations, which was what I thought they needed to do, or they would have done, or they did with the Jonathan convocation, they were supposed to set the pride of who is a Nigerian, what does it take to be a Nigerian. What are our means of engagement? What are the boundaries? What are the tone of the place? The daily administration is what the National Assembly and bringing the laws that will govern us. But you know, you have to first of all marry before you start living in one roof. That's the point, and that's why it looks as if the restructuring sound bites is poking and touching the very DNA of us as a people. That restructuring, without it making it look like a bad word, you must come and say, guys, how will I respect you?
Let me follow up with that.
How will you respect me?
You know, when you say that at the end of this election, we need to just sit down and have that conversation in terms of what do we do? How do we ensure
as
our
far
elections
as don't forget we're dealing with the process.
Exactly, because remember,
as far as the process
when
is
this
concerned,
cry of the question of restructuring was all over the place before this election, the president once at a time when he made reference to it, said, well, look, National Assembly, this is their function. And I also remember Robert Clark SCN at some point said, look, there might be a challenge, it might be a little challenge or difficult for the National Assembly to actually implement all of those, because where is it in the laws that will have to have a referendum? So in having that conversation you spoke about, where do we start?
Now, if, for instance, and this is where I blame, I won't say blame, but I took a back for Jonathan. There are certain things you do with what they call executive orders. He never used it. Never. There were certain things in that document, and that's where power becomes good. You know, this present government has what they call the Executive Order 8, right? Where they offer
1, 2,
tax
3,
credits.
4, 5, 6,
Yeah,
7.
tax credits to those who build roads and infrastructure, just to ramp up the infrastructural development in our country. They didn't go to any National Assembly.
Can you have an executive order when it has to do with issues of, you know, that magnitude?
No, but when they have come out with their itemized resolutions from that confab, there were some of them that he would have begun to implement just with executive orders, because he will lean. When you call a consultant, most people who run organizations call a consultant as a canon, as we have to depend on the consultant said this. So those confab people will have, by implication, he will have been saying, listen, this is what this confab said, and I'm beginning to do it. One of the dangers of leadership is having a power that you don't execute. That vacuum, that challenge constitutes a lacuna that people begin to do all manners of things. So my take is this: let them. The president now says the thing should stay at the. They asked him. I hope you remember. What about the you know, that document? You know what he said? He said it belongs to the shelves. He should go and dust it and bring it. Call people to get his team of people and begin to find how to recover the soul of Nigeria. What you are noticing is a dissatisfied people.
You talked about something the other time, and I think it ties everything together. It goes back to vision.
Vision. Yeah.
How do we even begin with that? We have talked about two important words: means and end. We're talking about processes. Processes are like means. What's the end game? Why are we doing what we're doing? So we need to, if we are going to go to vision, how do we even begin? What is Nigeria known for?
You know, as a people, one of the major challenges we have faced is having people emerge in positions of leadership. Now, mind you, I didn't call them leaders. That you occupy a position of leadership does not make you a leader.
Absolutely.
And I want you to note that you occupy a position of leadership does not make you a leader. It is in your ability to provide the needed leadership when the need arises that qualifies you as a true leader. People must understand, and that is why we do not, as it were, interrogate enough individuals who offer themselves to want to serve in any public office, whether as a councillor, council chairman, House of Assembly, member, governor, member of the National Assembly, and the office of the President and Vice. We don't interrogate them enough. And the few opportunities we've had, maybe with the debates we had this time around, we had the town hall meetings, we need to engage more. We need to interrogate these guys more. They need to let us know what they are bringing to the table. Enough of the rhetorics, because that is where it begins.
Yes, but let me take this
because
further.
All
when
of
you want
that,
to engage as a private sector, but when you want to engage someone for a job, you have a JD, right? Because you need that person to be employed because of the vision of the organization, right? What is the vision of the organization called Nigeria? Because without that, we will not get the right person for the job.
Let me come in. No, this is what I teach. I mean, around the world. You know, as we are here, everybody's seeing. That's what you call vision, right? It's not what you are really seeing that really converts into vision. It is what you are doing as a result of what you are seeing. So if you say you're going to go to, say, Port Harcourt, and by 12, by 11:30, you are still here. You don't have a ticket, you're not in a taxi getting to the airport. You're not going to Port Harcourt, of course you know that. So even though you are seeing, you want to go to Port Harcourt, your actions today, now, is not showing that you are really going to, so you are a charlatan. So what you have, just as you said, people occupying positions of authority who are charlatans. You know who is a charlatan? Somebody who will not be able to do what he says he will do. The point here is that the conveyor belt that produces the leadership, the leaders, is so convoluted and full of holes. You know, when you go to the airport with your bag and you come down from your aircraft, you don't take your bag that's in the hold. You don't take it there. They put it in a conveyor belt and then you come inside to pick it. Some people, so everything that is coming, in fact, it's a security issue, everything coming to that conveyor belt came from that aircraft. Some people want to intervene while the vehicle is taking it from the aircraft to where you put it and drop a box, drop a bag. So what you are now seeing at the end, where you're boxes that didn't come from the aircraft. So you have a polluted conveyor belt that you need to recover, because if you don't have visionary leaders, they won't be able to craft a vision.